huko nje anakula mawe na vumbi. Then she remembers her child and goes. It's not like she had forgotten she has a child, but she had forgotten. Okay. Umaika kwa matatu ukapitishwa mahali unafaa kushuka. Had you forgotten that you were supposed to alight, but you had forgotten? Okay, whatever you do with that information, God help you understand what it means. So he says he remembered his covenant with the children of, with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So akasema sasa nataka kufulfill hii kitu. So verse 6 therefore say to the children of Israel. So he's sending Moses to say to the children of Israel, I am the Lord, I will bring you out from under the burdens of the Egyptians, and I will rescue you from all their bondage, and I will redeem you with an outstretched arm and with great judgments. Remember this, that the people he is telling are a people that have heard about the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob for so long. They have heard of his saving power for so long. And today, I want to deviate a little and give you some little background of how the children of Israel were and why they were wondering why God is not delivering them, and why they were also angry and bitter at God. Praise the Lord. So why were they bitter? First of all, the Bible only says that, and there arose a king who did not know Joseph. That is what we read in Genesis. Is it Joseph? But how did it come to happen? How many years are these? How long is this? Joseph. But how exactly did it happen for the children of Israel to become slaves or to start living under servitude, in exility or exile? How did it turn out to be that the children of Israel are now no longer the Goshen people, the blessed people, the people who are a solution to Egypt? How did it happen that they are now slaves in a country that they had been given and they were living peacefully and happily? Now, you will realize that for them to be regarded as hostile people to Egypt, one, there must be something that they have done extremely that now Egypt begins to fight them, to humiliate them. Because if you read properly, you will see that, and Israel grew stronger and numerous in number. The complaint that the Egyptians are raising is that these are a great people and mighty. How do they manage to subdue a great people and mighty? Are you getting my point? So the Israelites must have gotten to a point of wondering, why is God now not on our side? You remember in the book of Judges, where Gideon is asking, if God is with us, then why are we being beaten? So, kuna kitu ili happen na wana wa Israeli, inaitangwa familiarity. When you get used to the hand of God saving you, doing things for you, God favoring you, you get to a place where you don't recognize this help anymore. Okay? So in Judges 6:13, Gideon asks that question. Oh my Lord, if the Lord is with us, why then has all this happened to us? And where are all his miracles, which our fathers told us about, saying, did not the Lord bring us up from Egypt, but now the Lord has forsaken us and delivered us into the hands of the Midianites. And who are these Midianites, and why all this trouble? So today, in our discipleship fellowship, as we study the Torah, the Word, I want us to go back and examine the life of the Israelites up to the time they begin to suffer. Because remember, Jacob comes into Israel, and for how many years? 17 years, he lives the best of his life. No problem. Then he dies and is taken to be buried. Something happened when the children of Israel went to bury their father. Huko Hebron. Huko mahali alikuwa amesema azikwe. Genesis doesn't record it. But it is recorded that there was a fight again there with the children of Esau. Edomites. So who are Edomites? Are the children of Esau. So who is Esau in relation to Jacob? Esau is his brother. Right? So the beef between Esau and Jacob seems not to have ended with the fathers. When we talk about people dealing with, unajua kuna hii kitu watu wanasemanga generational curses, family issues and all that, and some people normally disregard it and say, bora nimeokoka, hiyo story imeisha. But have you realized that even in born again families, beef inabakianga tu kuwa beef hadi inafuata watoto? From families of people that are born again, you even hear that so and so is born again. I'm a victim, and you too, I know you are a victim. That even as born again as you are, there are people you'd rather just say hi, and it is like that. Na hauna ubaya. Sometimes I find myself asking a question. My own too, najiuliza. Na kweli tu huyu fulani akikuja, tutakaa tu na tuongee vizuri. And I hear some voice telling me, hapana, tutasalimiana, hata kama ni kujana, lakini hatutapiga story. Hiyo story itaishia hapo kwa salamu. Haya, mnaendeleaje? Tuko sawa. Basi, chomoke niende. For the sake of my peace. So again, you realize that the children of Israel had issues with Esau and the Midianites. And you later on come to learn and realize that Esau's descendants, the Edomites, come and team up with the Midianites and the children of Ishmael. And they are pursuing Israelites, the children of Jacob, not even in Canaan. They are pursuing them in Egypt. Okay. I told you today I want to go a little bit. Tumeingia, unajua watu wenye wanaendanga Western wamezoea kutumia North Rift, wanaingianga mahali inaitwa Nakubris. Sasa leo tumetumia Great Rift, tumeenda hoteli tofauti na Nakubris. Ama leo tuko na private, tumeamua tusimame mahali different. So the deviation today is a bit different. So in the process, Israel has heard from their father Jacob what God did. And Jacob called his sons and told them this. Now, the children of Israel begin to die one after the other. And these deaths begin to occur in the 72nd year of their stay in Egypt. Now, their stay in Egypt up to this time is not called exile. Are we together up to that point? It is not called exile. It is still a stay of goodness, provision, abundance. They are living well. So now, after 72 years of stay, in the 72nd year, 2 of his sons died. So Joseph died after 72 years. Okay? Another person that dies after 72 years is Zebulun. And Zebulun is 114 years by the time he died. So when Zebulun dies, and unasikianga watu wakisema kwa matanga, when people come for a burial, somebody prays, or rather speaks and prays that, or makes a humble request and says, and we are praying that you pray for us in this family that we don't lose another person. Have you heard something like that? And have you also heard sometimes people dying every year? You see, many people don't understand these things. That's why they keep on saying there's nothing like generational things. These things, as long as you're just born again, it will be okay. You see, you are a Kenyan, but there are things other Kenyans are getting that you are not getting, yet you all hold an ID card. You all hold an identity card of Kenya, but there's someone else driving while you are walking. When there is drought, like there is, there are those of us that will have to walk for long distances to go and fetch water, a jerrycan of water, and carry it on our back or shoulder or whichever means, while there are those that even if it is dry, their taps will never run dry. There are estates that we know electricity never goes off, even when we have rationing. Are we together? But we are all Kenyans. Now we are all Christians. We are all born again. Why are we not the same? Because each and every one of us have issues to deal with at different levels and at different stages. You can only be an idiot or a fool to ignore and assume that because we are all born again, now we are operating on the same platform. It can never be. Each one of us has various battles they fight individually. And every one of us comes out of those battles based on their strategies that they involve in their lives. Now everything rises and falls on the platform of an altar. We like that statement, we don't like it. That is just how it is. Otherwise, everything would be the same. We would be getting born again and all of us get an entry level in Yenatoshan. We are in the same church, receive the same prayer, laid on the same hands, the same declarations are made, results are different. Why? Because each and every one of us is fighting different kinds of battles, is handling different kinds of issues. I told you, there is a family that will never struggle with polygamy. Because in their line, it has never been, it can't be, it is just like that. There is one that will fight it and can't manage. That is why you find even serious, tough men of God struggling with something that you would imagine he shouldn't be struggling with. He's a man of God, but they struggle with it. Someone will struggle with smoking, yet they will say, in our home, my parents, no one smokes. Kumbe, it is something from the 4th generation backwards that has just surfaced. So, the battle between the children of Israel and the children of Esau, Jacob doesn't experience it after making peace with his brother. They live peacefully until he comes to Egypt. But way later, as we are going to see as we continue, there is battle. And at least the book of Joshua mentions Africa by its name, Africa. These other books, they only call it Cush, or Mizraim, or Egypt. So when we talk about Moses running away from Egypt, going fast into Africa, people don't understand. And there's a reason why some books like the book of Joshua was removed, because it carries a lot of history and rich explanations that the Romans didn't want us to know. Because when we know, that is when we understand how we as the Gentiles belong to Israel. That's when you get to know how Israelites interacted. You know, Israel, you see, I keep telling you, Kiswahili is closer to Hebrew than English is. So, the etymology or the development of words, you will want to understand how does Kiswahili develop. It develops from the very, very root of Hebrew. That is why we call an offering sadaka when it is called tzedakah. We call kanisa when it is called kenes. We call torati when it is called Torah. Sawa? So, Zebulun dies 72nd year, is about 114 years. Simeon dies in the 75th year. Umeona? Just a few years. Another patriarch in that setup falls down. He's about 120 years. Now when Simeon died, you remember Simeon was the guy of war. You remember? So when Simeon died, there is a guy called Zepho, who was a son of Esau. He now came and united with the king of Africa, anaitwa Angias. And they planned to fight Israelites in Egypt. Yani wawakute huko Goshen. Mahali ambako wako Goshen. Waende wawatandikie huko. But in this time, we get to hear, you see, when you read the book of Exodus and then you come to the story, you remember there's a time the children of Israel were fighting against who? Was it? The people they were fighting against, and then the king called another fake or so-called prophet to come and see for them if they will win. What was the name of the king? Balak. And what was the name of the prophet? Balaam. Balaam was the son of who? Beor. Son of Beor. So now at this time, ndio ujue Balaam alikuwa mzee sana. Now, there's a guy called Balaam. He was only 15 years old. But he was a qualified diviner at the age of 15. So, he was called and he was told, tell us, inquire for us by divination or witchcraft. Kama tukienda tutashinda wana wa Israeli. So, when you see him again being asked later on, si kitu ati ndiye ameanza. Ni kumtuguzee kabisa. Na hii ni kitu amezoea kufanya. Unaona saizi yako 15 years. And this is the 75th year. So, ufanya hiyo total years, subtract 75. Uone alikuwa miaka ngapi by the time wanamkuta. Are you able to do that? Because through these figures again, you can be able to work backwards and see how old were the children of Israel. That is, the Akina Reuben, Judah, and all that, when they were going into Egypt. So, Balaam aliwaambia hii kitu itaenda kuwalalia. When aliwaambia itawalalia, Angias refused, akasema mimi sitaenda. He refused to go to that battle. But in the 79th year, at the age of 125, Reuben died. The firstborn. So he was about 125 years old when he died. And then in the 80th year, at about 120, Dan died. Now I want you to see 72nd, 72nd, 75, 79, 80. Somebody died. 81st year, Issachar dies at the age of 122. 82nd year, Asher dies at the age of 123. It doesn't stop. 83rd year, Gad dies, age of 125. So every year, something tragic is happening. Okay? The patriarchs are living. In the 84th year, there was again another war. Now this time round, there's a guy called Hadad, the son of Bedad. He went to fight with Moab. And he went with about 400,000 men. So, these guys, they were supported by the children of Keturah and Midian. So, Keturah's children and Midian. So, who are the Midianites? Do you remember back there when we read about the children who went and then Midian? Then Midianites. So, hi cousins. You remember Lot? So Midianites, and then as you remember Moab, Ammonites, and Moabites, and now Keturah's children. So you remember there were children that were being given gifts and being sent away. By who? So this is something that comes in way later. And you see, all these things are aligned towards a certain specific goal. Sometimes in life, I have said this a number of times. Many times in life, we as human beings are limited in seeing the purposes of God in the mistakes of men and in the errors of men. We are limited as human beings. Ushaiona kuku akiangalia mbele hivi? Kuku hawezi angalia, anaendanga mbele lakini haonangi mbele hivi. Na kuku akitaka kuangalia juu, angaliangi juu hivi, anaangalianga hivi, analamishanga kakichwa hivi, ndiye anaona juu. Now, even Paul says that for a prophet sees and prophesies in part. Now, all these wars are shaping up something. Okay, are we together up to that point? 85th year, 84th year ndio hiyo vita inafanyika. Si 83 tumeona God ameenda. Unajua Simeon alienda alafu kukatokea vita. Simeon ilikuwa jamaa ya vita. You remember? So these guys were waiting for that guy wa vita aende. And they walk in. There are families that encounter difficulties after a certain person dies. Have you ever noticed that? I've told you, I'm giving you a background of how Israel has lived until this time that they are now in full captivity. Until when? Why are they no longer talking about Joseph and Sahaulika? Why are they no longer talking about who they are? Yet God has been doing all these things to them. And then why is it that when we even want to listen to, unaona hapo mahali anakuja, si anaambiwa na Mungu, go and tell the Israelites, I am the Lord their God. He's coming to tell them, and they're like, Aje. In fact, si unajua wanakuja wakati nani amesema no straw, no, bricks without straw, you remember? He has come first and things have become tough than they used to be. So instead of help coming, instead of solution, it is even worse. So they are asking Moses, wewe ni nini ulikuja kutuletea? You know, sometimes when a prophetic word is released in the life of a person, instead of things becoming better, they even become worse. And the problem is when we as human beings, because of our limited nature of understanding and our skewed nature of looking at things, we cannot see God in that difficulty. We have sort of trained ourselves to see God in good things, to see God when things are working. If you asked any married person if they ever saw God in their misunderstanding in marriage, they will say never. Because we have been trained and taught to only see God in the good, never to see God in the bad. We have been trained to see God in, their parents. And I'm saying this with a lot of humility and understanding of the current situation in our country. There are students who have committed suicide already because of their bad grades. There is one who has disappeared from home. I think we were being told was it a girl? Somebody who committed suicide. It was a boy. Alijiua kwa sababu ya grades. So we have not been trained, and that's why I thank God because of the reading of parashas. Parashas are meant to open up your mind to understand how God operates, such that whatever comes your way, you know that if God has allowed it, He has a purpose for it. Because God has the capacity to prevent it, not even you. Unaona hiyo kitu yenye unaona kama imekukuta na wewe umeomba against it lakini imekukuta. It is like when Jesus says, please remove this cup from me, but nevertheless not my will but your will. And then it is not his will but the will of God that prevails. And what is the will of God? That he dies on the cross. That is the will of God. That he is naked on the cross. You know, when we watch movies of Jesus and all that, they try to make it decent because children are watching. They try to put some clothes on him because children are watching. But you see, when you read, you hear that he was naked so that we are forgiven. Naked. Okay. Now, is it sinking? That alikufa kifo cha aibu msalabani. Kifo cha aibu. He was ashamed so that we can be honored. And that was the will of God to his own son. We have not internalized the fact that when we go through suffering and pain, many a times God is still working out stuff. So, right now, Abed is working on my car. And one of the things he did, kwa sababu alikuwa anabadilisha kitu zinaitwa tyrant ends. Hizo vitu ndio zitoke zinagongangwa nyundo. Unasikia ngobo. Ndio itoke. Ati sasa hiyo ndio kutengeneza gari. Really smash the car. Wanagonga manyundo, unasikia kama mtu anakubomolea gari. How often do we see God through our life journey? Through the strain, the down moments, how do we see God? So when Keturah is coming in the life of Abraham, back there, before even Isaac is becoming a father to Jacob, yani Mungu anajua kuna time hawa watu watakuja kutumika mahali. I wish and I pray that we can just play our part in the life that God wants us to. It would be a very peaceful one. So, in the 85th year, there is war. We see the children of Keturah appearing somewhere. We see Midian appearing somewhere. So how did this happen? So in the 86th year, at the age of 129, Judah dies. You remember Judah? Father of who? Perez? Those are the children of who? Tamar. And then, after some 2 years, in the 89th year, Naphtali, at the age of 132, dies. Now the Levite, Levi, dies in the 93rd year. That is at the age of 137. Now, afterwards, baada ya kifo cha Levi, ndio sasa issues za captivity zinatokea. Why is that so? Levi is a Levite. Are we together? So, and it came to pass after the death of Levi, when all Egypt saw that the sons of Jacob, the brethren of Joseph, were dead. Levi was the last one. Okay? All the Egyptians began to afflict the children of Jacob and to embitter their lives from that day unto the day of their going forth from Egypt. And they took from their hands all the vineyards and fields which Joseph had given unto them, and all the elegant houses in which the people of Israel lived, and all the fat of Egypt. And the Egyptians took all from the sons of Jacob in those days. And they became so tough on the Israelites. But sasa tukirudi kwa zile vita huko nyuma, one day these guys went to fight. Unaona kwa hiyo vita ya 85th year, So when they went, na wameita bado Balaam alijaribu kufanya uganga yake na hiyo uchawi yake. Akatengeneza machariots akaziekelea juu ya maji. Ndiye afanye uganga. Okay, sitaki kuuliza kama umewahi enda kwa mganga. Kaona. Lakini nataka kuisema kama statement, sio swali usinijibu. Ushaienda kwa mganga ukakuta anaekanga besheni, anaeka maji, alafu anafunika na kitambaa, and then from nowhere, ama wale watu wanaitangwa waombi ama waombaji, wanaitwa wa Basahari Western, wanaeka maji kwa besheni, wanafunika na kitambaa red, wanawasha mishumaa, alafu wanakuambia funua. Ukifunua unakuta kwato ya ng'ombe hapo na mizizi ndani. Wanakuambia hii ndio imeharibu nyumba yenu. Water is a very interesting medium. So Balaam would do the same. And this time round alijaribu, hakuweza. The other time aliweka kwa maji, alitengeneza wax, aliitisha wax, akapewa wax, akatengeneza chariots, akaziekelea juu ya maji. Of course you know wax would float, isn't it? Then akiwa anafanya hizo enchantments zake, some red things that looked like the army of the these guys that were fighting, walikuwa akina nani? Hao watu wa Edom, sawa? Na wakiwa na the king Angeas wa Africa, wakiwa wanaanguka kwa maji, then king wa Africa akasema hataenda. So you remember I said that alikataa. This time round he tried so that he can prove to them their victory or not. Things refused to work. Unajua Joshua anasemanga, this thing was from the Lord. Yaani Mungu alikuwa hapo akifanya hiyo uganga. Haisi waka. So vile alikataa isi waka, wakaamua acha tuende. Walipoenda, the only qualified men to go to war from the Israelites, 150. Now I want to show you where war began. So unaona in 85th. Bado mambo ijakuwa haya. Levi angali, Juda angali, Naftali angali. Now at this point, they decided to go to battle, and the Egyptians heard it, that these guys are coming to fight, and they are coming to fight the Israelites in Egypt, so they are attacking Egypt for housing Israel. So the Egyptians said, we will go to battle against them. They came, a huge number of people. In fact, it records that they were about a journey of 3 days. Yani siku tatu ukiendanga tu hivyo jamalizana na hao wanajeshi. So when they came to battle, the Egyptians went to the Israelites na wakaambia, we'll go to fight. And there were only 150 men. 150. And these guys were more than 150,000 Egyptians. Wakaenda kwa war. Walipoenda vita ikachacha, the first day about 180 men Egypt were killed. So the battle was so fierce, and the Egyptians said, apana, these Israelites, their God is strong in battle. Let us call them to help us fight. How did they know this? Because there before there had been battles that Israel had fought for Egypt. Now you are getting it, Mali beef inakuja kujia sasa. So while they were going, so why are these sons of Esau fighting against Israel again? They are doing this because when the sons of Israel went to bury their father at Hebron, waliwatuanga na wakaweka hiyo beef. So wanakuja kulipiza kisasi. Tumeshikana? As they are coming now, they are targeting the Israelites, but the Egyptians are fighting. So now, when they were there, wakaona vita imechacha, wakaita Israelites. So the Israelites came. So when they came, the Egyptians withdrew. Waka withdraw from the front line, wakasema, wajinga ndio waliwa. Ndio waliwao ama waliwao whatever. Ndio waliwao. So they said, let these Israelites die their death. So they left the Israelites. And God gave a victory. 150 men. Walituanga hii watu yote, those guys, all of them. And they ran away. On their way back, Goshen. They discovered, oh, kumbe mlituacha na mkaanza kuenda. Maana waliwafikia. Wakakuja wakawaambia, tumeshinda hiyo watu na tumewafukuza na wame. Wakaanza kufurahia. Waisraeli ni nani? Spirit ya Simeon. Wakaambiana, watu walikuwa wanataka tuuawe huko. They beat all the Egyptians. Wakarudi minus wao. History kakuja na. So from there, they became an aggravated hatred. So kisemanga tu wana Israeli kutokea na Mungu ambaye hakujua Yusufu, ndio sababu walianza kuteseka, inaanzia hapa. So they wait, then now Judah dies. And you see Judah ndiye anaenda mbele. Judah is praise. Judah ndiye huyo amechomoka. Naphtali, where is the emblem for Naphtali? So what is Naphtali? Idea. Kosa speed. And then finally, the priest, the Levite, they were exposed. So from that time now, it became battle. It became fierce. Now, wakaanza kuteseka. Wakaanza kufinyiliwa. So all this time, they are wondering, this God that gave us victory against the Moabite, the Edomite, and the king of Africa, Angias. Huyu Mungu ameenda wapi? So they are a bit a lot. So they don't remember this God anymore for some time. And Zophas, or Zepho, that guy Zepho, he became so powerful. Alienda akakuwa mpaka king wa watu wanaitwa Shittim. Akakonka territories, akakuwa mfalme mkubwa sana. And then these guys were wondering, if we fought against all this number of kings, 150, why now are we being oppressed? Now you come to see the purpose of God is settled in heaven. You know, it is good to pray with understanding that we are imploring God. You know what is to implore? To implore ni sindilia mtu afanye kitu. We are pleading that things go our way. But he decides which way he wants them to go. Because there are things that if he changed today, it will interfere with 2074. When you are born. Are you getting me? It is hard to tell you, but I have to tell you that the purpose of God, Job says in Job 42, 44, 41, that the purpose of God, now I know that the purpose, that your purpose is forever settled in heaven, and it cannot be thwarted. So God has allowed these 150 men that overcame all those kings now to be subdued by the very people they can subdue. He allows for that to happen. And God is preparing. Job 42 verse 2. I know that you can do everything and that no purpose of yours can be withheld from you. How hard is it, or how hard it is for people to accept the will of God when it doesn't favor them? It is not easy. It has never been easy. And you know what Christianity has taught us? Christianity has taught us that we can overturn everything. Are we ever careful about the will of God as we seek to overturn everything? Are we ever careful about what is the will of God in this matter? Because what if the parents of Samson overturned the request of Samson to marry a woman from that place. Was it Soreta or what? Or Timna? What if they overturned that? Because we all speak about the weakness of Samson, women. We all speak about how to be careful with Delilah. But we rarely speak about the victory of Samson killing all the witches, rulers of Philistine. We don't talk about that. You know, we all talk about how David killed Uriah, and we talk about the wisdom of Solomon. But we don't remember about his mother. That his mother, other than being Uriah's wife, was a Hittite, not an Israelite. How many times do we interrogate our sufferings to fathom or to understand or to decipher the will of God in that suffering? The will of God in that mishappening. How? If the Samaritan woman had not gone to 5, was it 5? So that he meets, so he was already on the 6th, because he was told, you've been having 5, and even the current one is not yours. So that he comes to the 7th, which is rest. Do we ever sit down to look at what could God be doing with this situation that I am in? Woman, before you leave that marriage, have you ever sat down to ask yourself, what is the will of God in this suffering that I am in, before you just declare it abusive? Man, before you set out of that home and say it is not working, have you ever sat down to ask yourself, is God's will in this? That is the $1 million question. That is the $1 million question. So Ishmaelites joined up, sons of Keturah and Esau. These are people that have been brought to trigger the jealousy and to trigger the desire for God's help. They are all in God's plan, in as much as we would want to regard them as not so good a people. God, Aaron was also hearing God. Unajua hata Aaron alikuwa anatokelezewa na Mungu. What did God tell Moses? When Moses said, I can't speak, what did he tell him? God had already spoken to Aaron. So this Aaron that has been spoken to by God about Moses or concerning Moses is the same Aaron that is allowing Miriam to speak to him again about Moses. And God does nothing. So God speaks to Aaron and he tells Aaron, go into the wilderness and meet your brother Moses. Now, he tells Aaron to go into the wilderness. You know what is a wilderness? Yani nyika, jangwa, si ndio? Ati uende tu, we nikwambie, enda Kenya tuko na Chalbi, si ndio? Chalbi desert. Ati enda Chalbi utakutana na Paul. Unaenda Chalbi gani? Which Chalbi? How will you know where Paul is? You don't have a GPS locator. He has not sent you a live location. You're not tracking his movement. And God just tells you, go to Chalbi and you will meet Paul. Hizo ni Lawrence ameambiwa, enda Chalbi utakutana na Paul. Wewe hata hii Kitengela nikikwambia, saizi Lawrence nikwambie, enda Kite utakutana na Paul. Alafu atakwambia Kenya nimemtuma. Utaniuliza Kite wapi? Na hata nikikwambia kiite pale stage. Hiyo stage, unajua watu wanaweza tafutana hiyo stage na hawapatani. Okay. Unajuanga National Archives ndio place ya meeting ya watu, si ndio? I was taught so by someone. Sasa ukiwa National Archives, uko wapi? Niko hapa. Wapi? Archives mbele. Wewe unajua archives iko na mbele mbili. Every side ya archives ni mbele. Alafu kidogo nasema, nimekuona sawa. Kumbe umeona mtu mwingine kwa si. Unaenda hapo unakuta si yeye. Ukipiga, samahani, mteja wa nambari uliyopiga hapatikani kwa sasa. My friend, unatafuta mtu, anakuambia niko hapa kwa statue ya Tomboy. Anakuanga Tomboy, mwenye Gen Z walivalisha mpaka tai, akamwekea tear gas. Unaenda hiyo side au muone. So how God orchestrates these things is just something interesting. Now Aaron is older than Moses. So why didn't God just choose Aaron, who speaks eloquently? Yeye ndiye aende akakae kwa Pharaoh. Juu ni jamaa anasoma vizuri. So hata kushika angeshika haraka. Ndio? I always imagine kigugumizi, by the way, akisoma na gugumanga. Kigugumizi akikuwa kwa action ya kigugumizi ni kuguguma ama ni how is it called in Swahili? So I don't know kama kigugumizi pia akisoma Juda. So and then God doesn't heal Moses of it. He says, utaongelelewa na ule mwingine. Just see how complicated God gets the arithmetic. And then God has to tell a younger boy to tell an older boy what to tell the king. You know how it feels that your small brother is the one telling you what to tell the king. This is a mystery that Miriam doesn't understand. Even his parents don't seem to understand this Moses thing. And then a man who disappears and for 40 years is gone. Then he resurfaces and is saying, the Lord has said. It's not easy. It's not easy. So, and he appeared. Basha appeared unto Moses. Tells Moses, go and tell the children of Israel. So today I just wanted to give you a background of how the children of Israel lived after the death of their father and the struggles that they went through and how God would fight for them. And now they are wondering, Mungu ameenda wapi? And why is God not sorting us anymore? So why is God continuing to perform miracles but is not taking us out? Then he says, I will remove you with an outstretched arm. Nitawatona an outstretched arm. But he first of all allows the struggle to continue. Have you ever prayed the more? And the more you prayed, the more the situation got tougher. The more you served God, the more you struggled. The more the voice of God is clearer, the more you... Because they're asking, before you, Moses, came to speak about this thing of us going out, we were slaves but better. Now you've come to speak and now we are worse slaves. Things have gotten worse. Afadhali hata ungesema. And you see, that is the time many people backslide from salvation. That is the time when many people will even leave church. I began doing this and this, then immediately biashara yangu ikaenda chini. You know, the devil is not your uncle. And he knows how God works. He knows that it is about to get morning when it is darkest. He knows, and one of the things you know that a spiritual uplifting is about to occur is heightened activity against you in the spiritual realm. When you're doing things and they are going down, you are doing the best and things are working awkward and opposite. Mungu wako karibu kujitukuza. But do you know what we do naturally? we say ni kama hata Mungu people who have been silent and not doing anything so big in the ministry have very little battles to fight, if any. There are very little challenges to handle. The moment they start being active, changamoto zinaibuka hivi. Because Mungu apendangi tu ushuhuda tudogo. God anapenda usikike ukisema, if the Lord had not been on my side, let Israel say. The enemy would have swallowed me alive. So if the enemy would have swallowed you alive, what must that enemy have? The mouth of that enemy must be widened enough to fit you in it. Are you getting what I'm saying? For you to say the enemy would have swallowed me alive, the mouth of the enemy must be widened enough and in your own sight. Now, God did not save Daniel from the lions. He saved Daniel. He kept Daniel with the lions in the pit, not in the open, because Daniel would have run away and denied God the opportunity for glorifying himself. That is what you do, a normal person, isn't it? Utatumia kichwa, huwezi kaka hapo na simba unaambia Mungu funga hawa simba vinywa. Hapana. You will run away and deny God the opportunity. So what does God do? He lets you to be thrown into the pit first. Then you confront your fears and you are done with your fears. Then he says, you know hata hawakukuli. But maybe even Daniel was not confident enough. He would close his eyes and then open, and the lion is there admiring at him. Funga Mungu isinikule. This God who waits until things are bad is the same God sometimes who orchestrates for those things to be bad. But the question is, can you search and see the will of God in that happening? That is the key. Can you search and see the will of God in it? So, God is causing chaos in Egypt. There are flies, fleas, boils, and all that. But it is not happening to the children of Israel. But He is not taking them out either. He is just letting them stay there. Bwana asifiwe. And He tells Moses, I will harden the heart of Pharaoh. I think that is either yesterday's Aliyah or today's Aliyah. He says, I will harden the heart of Pharaoh. Why? So that I may make manifest my works. I don't know the Pharaoh of your life. Which one has been hardened? I don't know how much prayer you've put into it. God tells Moshe, I have heard the groaning of my children, Israel. I have heard and I have seen the suffering of my people. Lakini Mungu mwenyewe doesn't seem to be in a hurry. Hana speedy. He comes slowly to bring the deliverance. He doesn't just, because God has the power to just say, Egypt, muondoke Israel. And you know, it is, I think it is after the death of, I don't know whether it was Asher or Gad, that the Pharaoh asked to be built for a palace. And historically, that is when it is believed the pyramids were being constructed, now historically. And he asked the children of Israel to help in that work. Israel had technology that helped to build a strong place. Hao majamaa walikuwa wajenzi wa serious. Serious guys. So at the end of the day, God is almighty, God is powerful. Lakini for some reason, amekataa tu slavery. For some reason, amefanya nini? What do you do when you have done everything and God seems to be doing nothing? Give thanks in all things. Have I not commanded you to give thanks in all things? Juzi nilikuwa naongea na Jen. We're talking about some situations. She said, you know, some of these things are just easily said. But when it is happening is when you realize how hard it is. It is the tragedy of human beings. A certain man of God was speaking to us recently and he was saying, his son has been a very bad thorn in flesh. He said that every time I look at my son, I wish that people would look at him and have mercy. But unfortunately, everybody looks at him with judgment. And he says, as a father, I have done everything. Yeye anaombeaga hata wazimu wanapona. Lakini wake hapana. That's when you come to the study of the Torah portion and see that God appears, tells Moses what to do, and the suffering of the children of Israel does not stop. In fact, the coming of Moses increases the suffering fast before the Exodus. We are going to see the children of Israel suffering. We're going to see Pharaoh saying, increase the punishment. Pharaoh is going to increase the punishment. And in fact, these guys are going to tell Moses, you have brought a lot of trouble on us now. Sometimes men of God are blamed. Man of God comes and says, you will be married this year. And 5 years down the line, you are not married. After 2 years, the third year, you say, why niambie hiyo kitu tena? But every year is your year of being married. Instead, even the one that was dating you goes away. The relationship kenye ulikuwa unahuheria, kenye ulikuwa unapulizia moto, hewa kawake, kana kuva. Of God prays for you and tells you, your home shall stand in a mbaya zaidi hapa. Oh my God. But how many times do we look at it from that angle? So this one, on Friday before we go online, I'll tell you some things about Keturah, Midian, and the children of Ishmael. You know, onliners, I always fear them. They can take a small portion and use that as an attack tool. Otherwise, God bless you, our online viewers, the church without walls. God bless you. The church is not confined to the four walls. We have a lot of people that we reach out there. So God bless you. Send your offering if you can. Bless this ministry. We have a lot going on here. The Lord will bless you. Father, Lord, I pray for every one of us that has shared the word tonight. Help them to find a place of you in every situation that happens to their lives. Both good and bad. Positive and negative. Those that are worth applauding and those that are not worth clapping for. Let them always find your place in everything that happens in their lives. Because that is the key of joy. That is the key of enjoying salvation. Because Lord, when we know your place, even when things are not working, then we will know for sure that it's going to work. Just as your servant Joseph knew that you will come to deliver the children of Israel from Egypt. And he died in peace, knowing that indeed a time will come when you will do it. Even though at his time, nothing seemed like it. So did Jacob know that you will surely come to deliver them. Father, I pray that in every situation, may your people know that you have a place and a position in their situation. Take all the glory, take all the honor, and bless your people and give them a better week in these coming days. In Yeshua's mighty name we pray and we give thanks. Amen. God bless you. God keep you. Amen.